Smart to chew on. The Lunchroom on RCI. Monday to Friday, 12:45 to 2 p.m. The Lunchroom. Informative, enlightening, provocative, engaging. The Lunchroom on RCI. Food for thought. The station that gives you, more lunch.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. It is Tuesday, rainy Tuesday, the 14th of January, 2025. And this is program number 1304 of the Lunchroom. I'm your host, Calix George Jr. Now, in addition to radio, 101.1 FM, you can also get us at our website, rcisaintlucia.com. You can also reach us at our Facebook Live link. You just have to search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International. And please like and share that link as well with your friends and family. And if you want to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, the number to do so is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046, as well as our WhatsApp number. That is 724-0008. Again, 724-0008. Just one birthday greeting going out today to Miss Janine Scott. Happy birthday to you, and wishing you a fantastic and blessed birthday today. A bit of history. Looking back first into the year 1526, Charles V, King of Spain, and Francis I of France signed the Treaty of Madrid, which forces Francis to give up claims to Burgundy, Italy, and Flanders. In the year 1641, the Dutch East India Company conquered the city of Malacca, and that led to, I think 7,000 individuals being killed there. In the year 1724, Spanish King Philip V abdicated his throne in favor of his son, 17-year-old Louis. And he returned to rule in September, in fact, when Louis died of smallpox. In the year 1761, on this day, the Third Battle of Panipat saw one of the largest battles in history, and involved the mostly Muslim Afghani Durrani Empire defeating the mostly Hindu Maratha Empire in northern India. And in that battle, an estimated 60 to 70,000 people were killed in the fighting, and about 40,000 Maratha prisoners were later massacred. In the year 1784, on this day, the United States Congress of the Confederation ratified the Treaty of Paris, and that was eventually signed on September the 3rd, 1783, which ended the Revolutionary War and forwarded it to Great Britain. And on this day in 2011, Tunisian President Ben Ali fled to Saudi Arabia after popular protests known as the Jasmine Revolution. We now move on to our dish of the day. The daily dish is brought in the kind compliments of our good friends at Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. Need all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Boss, you'll see. Come down to my nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses Grocery Lanes, and Flag Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
To our program here today, and of course, it's our second program for the year. If you're just catching us for the first time, we are back up on the air. And of course, again, for those who are catching us for the first time for the year, we wish you a very blessed 2025 and hope it is productive for you. Now, and of course, more than productive, but also healthy and happy. Now, yesterday we began talking about the global scenario, the global scene that we are currently existing in, and we started narrowing it down into the region, pointing out that a number of countries are, in fact, heading to the polls in the upcoming, in this current year. And in fact, that would not normally include Antigua, although they, in fact, are going to the polls only in the constituency of St. Peter. And that is as a result of the unfortunate homicide involving, well, one could even say assassination of Mr. Assot Michael, who was once a member of the ruling party and fell out of favor. He was, in fact, an independent, and he was found dead at his home, unfortunately, not too long ago. There is, in fact, a by-election today to fill the seat that he held, the seat of St. Peter, and that will be between two candidates, George Werner and Rowden Turner. Werner representing the UPP, and that is the opposition party, and the Antigua Barbuda Labour Party's Rowden Turner looking to fill that seat. So no doubt there will be some interest in that across the three polling divisions that find themselves in that St. Peter seat. But more broadly, though, in the Caribbean, there are a number of countries actually heading to the polls. And there's an article that was published by the Caribbean Camera Incorporated just 2 days ago speaking to that. So I'm just going to share that, in fact, for our dish of the day. 2025 is said to be a significant year for politics across the Caribbean, as several countries prepare for general elections. Major CARICOM nations such as Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, Guyana, Suriname, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines will command regional attention as voters decide whether to retain current administrations or usher in change. Governments in these countries have faced numerous challenges, including the ongoing impact of COVID-19, rising gun violence, natural disasters, and the ever-present threat of climate change. Here's a quick look at where elections are due. Confirmed election dates. Bermuda, February the 18th, 2025. Premier David Burt of the Progressive Labour Party, PLP, surprised many by announcing the election date just weeks into the new year. The last election was in August 2020. Turks and Caicos Islands, February the 7th, 2025. Approximately 10,000 voters will make history, as this will be the first 5-year parliamentary term instead of the usual 4. The Progressive National Party, PNP, aims to retain power. Curacao, March 21st, 2025. The Dutch Caribbean island will hold its parliamentary elections with over 110,000 eligible voters. Curacao became an associate CARICOM member in 2024 under President Gilmar Pisas. The last election was in 2021. Suriname, May the 25th, 2025. President Chandrik Prasad Santokhi has set May the 25th as the election date, following recent electoral reforms. The previous election also took place on May 25th, 2020. Awaiting election dates, Anguilla. No date has been set, but campaign preparations are underway. The ruling Anguilla Progressive Movement, APM, led by Dr. Ellis Webster, is gearing up for January campaign launches. Belize, Prime Minister John Briceño has yet to announce an election date, while the opposition UDP, United Democratic Party, continues to struggle with internal divisions. Belize last voted in November 2020. Guyana. Though no official date has been set, indications point to a possible November 25th election. President Irfan Ali, who was elected in 2020, continues to oversee a rapidly growing economy, driven largely by oil production and diversification in the non-oil sector. Jamaica, with the People's National Party, PNP, and Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, already in campaign mode, the country awaits an election date. The JLP is seeking a historic consecutive term. The last election was held in September 2020. St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves, now 78 years old, is eyeing a record sixth term for the Unity Labour Party, ULP. No date has been announced, but Gonsalves recently hinted that Parliament will be dissolved soon for elections. The last vote was in November 2020. Trinidad and Tobago. With Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley announcing his intention to step aside, a political shakeup looms. Energy Minister Stuart Young has been selected by the ruling People's National Movement to take over when Rowley resigns. No election date has been given, but it promises to be closely watched. What's at stake? Well, these elections come at a time when many Caribbean countries are grappling with economic recovery, crime, and climate resilience. Voter turnout and election outcomes will likely shape the region's political landscape for years to come. And that, I said, is coming from on an online source called the CaribbeanCamera.com, Caribbean Elections 2025 General Overview. And certainly, last year was for the world a significant outcome in terms of general elections. In fact, I think it was one of the most on record. Many countries went to the polls, and in many instances, in fact, we saw the incumbents not being successful and resulting in significant shakeups over many countries around the world. Of course, in the case of the United Kingdom, they, of course, saw a landslide for the UK's Labour Party. They capturing one of the most seats ever, I think, in terms of that outcome. That, well, it was a sweeping victory for Keir Starmer when he went into polls. He got in fact, the UK's Labour Party got 411 of the 650 seats, and that was up from 202 seats. So they more than doubled their seat count. Whereas the Conservatives, which of course had so many leaders over the past number of years, from of course David Cameron bowing out to Boris Johnson to Theresa May, and then of course we saw for a very short time others taking the ranks. Liz Truss, for example, and then Rishi Sunak coming forward, and they had a 365 seat majority. They managed to lose 251 seats, quite a significant drop there. And even parties like Liberal Democrats able to pile in with about 72 seats in that election outcome. Now, of course, in the United States, a red sweep for the Republican Party. They coming forward and, of course, getting all the houses of Congress, as well as Donald Trump returning to the presidency. In the case of India, somewhat different. Mahendra Modi was able to hold on to his party's lead, the BJP there, but they had in fact a reduced number of seats, with Congress party seeming to perform much better than what was actually expected. There in fact are a number of carryovers globally in terms of what has occurred around the world. France went to the polls, last ditch efforts to try to hold off the far right, led to the Socialist Party managing to become the largest party in the House of Deputies. They, however, did not get their way in terms of the prime minister being appointed still from the center in that case there, and so there is still uncertainty as to how things are going to pan out in the case of France in the coming years. Of course, quite recently, the founder of the far right in France, Marine Le Pen, just recently, in fact, dying. But of course, his daughter's still pretty active amidst all that is going on there. So, again, very interesting tenuous situation over in France. The situation in Germany certainly has not been very good for the ruling party, the SPD, the Socialist Party there, led by Mr. Schulz, in fact, has been forced to call a poll that is going to be happening on February the 23rd, I believe. And the right-wing party, conservatives, the CDU, are likely to be the ones who will be forming the majority party, the largest block of votes in that coming election for the Bundestag. So again, and let's not forget, in the case of Canada, of course, in addition to fending off trying to become the 51st state, Mr. Trudeau, Justin Trudeau, has in fact stepped aside as head of the Liberal Party, and they are heading to the polls too. And again, very similar situation where it appears that the Conservatives may very well likely be able to pull off a victory over in Canada as well. So quite a lot in terms of the sphere of politics around the world, and of course the implications that may exist right here in the Caribbean. We will have to wait to see how that also pans out. Now, of course, as mentioned in the case of Trinidad and Tobago, the party of Eric Williams, the People's National Movement, which has been effectively the oldest party in Trinidad and Tobago, they have, perhaps you could say, have been the party that has been around for the longest as well in terms of serving, being elected in most number of times over the years. They are in a very interesting situation at this point in time. Now, of course, they have tended to be considered the party of Afro-Trinidadians, or the party of the Creoles. They have, and that is because the other party, the United National Congress, the UNC, has tended to find its base more within the Indo-Trinidadian population, particularly the Hindu Trinidadian population. They, of course, when you look at a political map of Trinidad and Tobago, the tendency is that the south of the island, for the most part, seems to lean more towards towards yellow, towards the UNC, whereas the north, particularly the east-west corridor. That region tends to generally be more towards the People's National Movement. But of course, it's a very complicated and mixed bag. But so, of course, this is the tradition of the UNC. And in fact, interesting enough, their new leader, who is the Member of Parliament for Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, Stuart Richard Young, a barrister by training, attorney at law, is in fact a Chinese Trinidadian. And he, I believe, would in fact be the first time that a Chinese Trinidadian would in fact become Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. So very interesting move, of course, in terms of the politics there. He, of course, is has been mentioned in that article earlier on, was the minister responsible for energy and energy industries. And he's also a minister within the office of the Prime Minister. 49 years old, born on February the 9th, 1975. And he is likely to be the one heading to lead the PNM into its upcoming general election. A decision there, of course, by Mr. Rowley deciding to step aside and to allow a more youthful Stuart Young to take the party into the upcoming general election. So hasn't gone completely quiet. Of course, there are others who've had interest in putting themselves up as leader of the party, and we saw some names being put out there. Even that, I think of Penelope Beckles at one point, putting herself in potentially being considered there. But it seems to be, as of now, at least, that the PNM is likely to be pushing forward with Mr. Young as their candidate. Of course, we will be seeing what happens in the case of St. Lucia. We're due for election next year, July 2026. But of course, as with all these parliamentary systems, the Prime Minister is the one who can ask the Governor General to prorogue Parliament and dissolve Parliament, and in fact can effectively call an election at any time. Situation in the case of St. Lucia, as you would well recall, currently 13 seats held by the St. Lucia Labour Party, 2 by the opposition United Workers Party, and 2 held by independents, Castries North and Castries Central. Those 2 independents, have both since also become members of the cabinet and are part of the current government apparatus. And so we'll have to wait and see what the outcome is in the case of St. Lucia and when we may end up having a general election. That's our dish of the day. When we come back, we will open up the lines as well, and we have to go take our weather report. So I think we might just do that a little early and then head back to the phone lines.
This has been The Daily Dish.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+, with all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Boss, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Lance Road in Castries, Bosses Grizzly Lane, and Flag Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939.
Island style. We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, yeah. We'll have to make the right choice. Island style. We got the time that will make you happy. Island style. Oh yeah. We make your dream come
Something sets pieces and ground. Everything you need is on the outside. For the best price and the latest style. Take a little drive down to Island Style Car.
We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, quality rice, service choice. It's all an Island Style.
Visit us at our showrooms in Belarus and Rodney Bay on the John Crompton Highway, Cass Street, and behind Ruby's Gas Station on the Library Viewport Highway. So call us on 450-452 or 453-TILE. Island Style, Tile and Bath. When you think tile, think Island Style. This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
Of course, on 1.1, it's now time for a weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Talent Bear. The forecast for St. Lucia Valley for the next 24 hours, the winds will be blowing from between the northeast and east near 70 miles per hour or 28 kilometers per hour, becoming lighter at times. The weather partly cloudy skies becoming cloudy at times with some scattered showers. And there is an advisory in here which reads small craft operators and sea beavers are advised to exercise caution due to above normal seas. The forecast for the Lesser Antilles, partly cloudy skies becoming cloudy at times with scattered showers, mainly over the Windward Islands. And the weather summary, light to moderate easterly winds are expected across the Eastern Caribbean region during the next few days. A southward drifting shear line will continue to cause some cloudy periods with showers over the Windward Islands during the next 24 hours. Elsewhere, fair to partly cloudy skies with a few brief showers.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Island Style. Yeah. We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, we'll have to make the right choice. Island Style. Whoa. We got the time that will make you happy. Island Style. Oh yeah. We make your dream come alive in Island Style.
We have times and princess, pieces and ground. Everything you need is on the outside. For the best price and the latest style. Take a little drive down to Island Style Car.
We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, quality rice, service choice. It's all an Island Style.
Visit us at our showrooms in Belarus and Rodney Bay on the John Crompton Highway, Cass Street, and behind Ruby's Gas Station on the Library Viewport Highway. So call us on 450-452 or 453-TILE. Island Style, Tile and Bath. When you think tile, think Island Style.
And welcome back. Thanks for that. And of course, we are back on air now. If you want to reach us, call us. You can do so at 4523046 to tell us what's on your plate today. And you can also have the option of reaching us via WhatsApp as well. Let's head to the phone lines at this time. Good afternoon and welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Good afternoon, Mr. George.
Hi, good afternoon, sir. How are you doing? Happy New Year.
First time we talking in 25, yeah?
Yeah, that's correct, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, we just started, okay? So you're not too late.
Everybody okay?
Yes, indeed. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. Actually, I wasn't even aware you were on yet, you know.
Where we just started yesterday.
That they heard you this week, you know.
Yes, we started yesterday, so we just came back on air.
Okay. How was your season, man?
Pretty good. Not bad at all.
Yeah,
pretty restful.
In a sense, I mean, you know, well, from, you know, I don't know, maybe I've seen it from my perspective, but to me, I you know, but not, I mean, listening to people and watching, I think there's a general view that the whole tradition is not vibrant as it used to be, man. C'est pas vaillant qu'on était, man, à dans temps.
You mean the
Eh?
festive season, the
Yeah.
holidays?
Yeah.
When you say vibrant, you mean in terms of cultural vibrancy, or you mean in terms of economic vibrancy?
Well, I mean, the economic, it seems to be there still, you know, but you know, the cultural more, I would say, the cultural relevance of it, you know. Yeah, it's, you know, yeah, because the expectation, judging to from what I observe and listen and heard from people, generally speaking, it was like, you know, the commercial aspect still there, but certain people, different people will tell you differently. You know, the businessmen are the ones who will be better positioned than the people who already you know, see Christmas as a season of spending and so on.
Right.
You know, would probably think differently, but I think culturally, generally, also the you know, people kind of think that it's not the significance of it. You know, the religious and so on.
Right.
Because people complaining about how midnight mass used to be a big occasion, you know, that kind of thing. And now the church isn't even you know, necessarily half full, you know, and these sort of things, you know, and you know, of sharing, going at each other's homes, people more private now, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, for security reasons or whatever.
Right.
You know, and this kind of thing. But maybe you should tell me, man, because you saw it when you were a little boy, and then now you're grown up. You witnessing it?
Well, certainly. I mean, as growing up, one would say that going to midnight mass, for example, you'd have to fight for space. You know, well, not fight literally, of course, but it'd be very packed. You may have to stand at the back or that kind of thing. But I think, you know, we've been seeing this issue of church attendance, you know, certainly creeping up, and it's a worldwide issue, eh? It's something that you're seeing in most continents around the world, barring perhaps places like Africa, and maybe some parts of Asia, where you're seeing large you know, attendance at masses and what have you. I don't know if the other phenomenon that you're witnessing is that of the post-COVID online you know, services, you know, which has its good and its bad. It's good that you could be anywhere in the world and you could be following what is going on. I know there are a lot of St. Lucians in the diaspora who follow not just the funerals, but, you know, Sunday masses and
the whole world, you know.
And you know, you have some celebrities as a result. You know, people like Father Albert, for example, is one could perhaps say that.
The way you're talking there, like you went to midnight mass in Barbono Church.
No. Well, you see, funny enough, I actually was not on island for the Christmas holiday, so I was not actually. Okay. So I can't speak.
That's why you didn't want to talk too much about it.
I can't speak directly as to what I saw because I wasn't actually there. But I know that I can tell you that people overseas.
You were in Bethlehem.
Sorry?
You were in Bethlehem?
No, I wasn't in Bethlehem either. No, I had to go to the United States.
You don't dare go so close to Gaza.
No, well, that is true. That there's a lot of that going on. Although today they've been talking about peace, a ceasefire deal being realized, and they're supposed to be putting out 30 hostages from the Gazan side. But no. But I'm saying that it clearly the whole thing has changed somewhat in terms of how people connect with religion. You know, that certainly is a phenomenon that I think is very, very interesting, because you, even online, and the wealth of options that you have, whether you want to just follow spiritual messages, or you want to, people get these daily messages, they can follow the office of the hours if you want online now. You don't even you can do everything. Everything is coming to the individual where they are at. And so unfortunately, not as many people seem to want to necessarily go out and interact. And of course, that whole idea of communion is certainly being challenged. So it's interesting. I think all people have to adapt. The churches have to adapt to see how they can, in fact, deal with it. And it's impacting all faiths, also, caller. I mean, the Muslim faith as well, the Christian faith. We all religious faiths are, in fact, going to be impacted by this reality. As
so I guess we kind of, you ways at, we discussed the aspects of the economic aspects of it. I guess people were able to spend money, the commercial aspects, as well as the social aspects, which we talk about COVID and so on, how that's impacted on people.
Well, even
what about now the politics, which of course you give you documented perfectly in terms of region by region how the politics is going, and it seems to be one common factor. It seems to be that the politics moving more towards the right.
Yes. Generally speaking, yes.
Generally speaking,
yes. I mean, you have some exceptions to the rule, but generally, I mean,
isn't that having an impact on, perhaps a bigger impact on the economics and every other thing? The religion and everything of our whole way of life.
Yes, certainly it's going to, and because some of it too is that very same issue of values, and
we subject it to our political concepts now.
Right, but what I'm saying is that the some of the movement to the right is also a values war that is being fought in some places, right? Now, we may not necessarily agree with all the values, but that is what is going on. A lot of it, I mean, we saw it in the United States of America. The Democrats were pushing certain values in terms of women's rights and freedoms and LGBTQI rights, and whereas the Republicans seem to be pushing more, of course, traditional values, and speaking, which spoke more to a lot of Christian churches, and whether it's Catholic, evangelical, what have you. So there's definitely a values war there going on. But even in Europe, where you find, one can say Europe is no longer a very religious place. I mean, that's when you look at all the data that is prevalent in Europe. Fewer and fewer people actually go to attend a church service or a synagogue service. But the largest growing faith in Europe right now is probably Islam, right? And so they are interesting enough, even though they're not, religious per se, they're taking it from a more of a secular position that this may in fact impact on their system of values, and how their society is going to change. And so we're seeing a lot of the pushback on things like immigration are tied to this. So there is definitely a significant war of values that is being played out across many, many regions of the world right now. And it will be very interesting to see how it kind of plays. The interesting thing is in Africa, because in Africa, it's split down the middle, roughly, in terms of Islam and Christianity. and you actually do have both faiths growing pretty quickly. So, as to how whether Africa will be able to find a happy marriage, a balancing point in terms of those issues, is left to be seen. But we have seen certainly in many cases.
No, but now we see where that's going already.
We've seen many cases where you have conflict.
States with all the people there, like Nigeria.
Nigeria is a very good example of it. Yep.
Nigeria not going so good, and there is Sudan, Darfur.
Darfur, that's correct. Yeah.
South Sudan.
South Sudan. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you don't see that. It's more is another layer of intolerance we add into the tribal thing,
Yeah.
As far as Africa goes, you see. So, I mean, and even Europe, there was some semblance, they were trying disguise of, but things been simmering at the brim from time of, this level of tolerance.
Well, World War II, anti-Semitism. I mean, it's a long history.
You still have the right. I don't want I don't like the old concept of abortion,
mm-hmm.
but I grant you, it's your right if you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But now you have no. Get that out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like this whole idea of black awareness and
mm-hmm.
history and consciousness and being aware of the past and things.
Mm-hmm.
But you fought for that. You have it there now. Now, remove that there. Take that out of the schools. That kind of way.
Yeah.
So we're going boldface and now, and that is where you're talking about confrontation and conflagration. Social conflagration to add to the conflagration caused by climate change. So I mean, and the people seem to think, well, whatever the multiplicity of problems societies face now could be better handled by those who have the resources. Like the Musks and the right wing, generally speaking.
Right.
The people who maintain in the status quo of getting the rich richer, and they will find the solutions to the problems. But the solutions now, they're looking at it could be really destructive. For example, if we want to look at the solution that the thing within Gaza, and a lot of people, respected people in America, are comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Let's kill all Palestinians. And that's okay. That's okay.
But caller, as with all these things, people will tend to align themselves based on a lot of different things, whether it's historical perceptions, how they perceive some groups to be. I mean, for example, I heard for a long time that some Rastafari, for example, did not necessarily align themselves to leftist views, because it was the communists who, in fact, were the ones who ended up taking control in the case of Ethiopia. So they always had a very negative view towards leftist groups, and what have you. All right. So even though maybe in some instances a leftist group or left-leaning party may have other values that might actually align more towards their ideology or whatnot, you're going to find that they may not necessarily trust those groups, So you're going to get these kind of, in the United States, is a similar kind of situation too. You find that people, although they may not have necessarily liked the Republican Party because of certain views that they have in terms of supporting the wealthy or whatnot, but maybe because of where they stood on certain values, on certain things, they gravitated towards them for those purposes. So that's the thing about it. We in our system of government, our system of representation, we quite often don't get the opportunity to vote on every issue, right? Like, that's how it is, I think, in places like Switzerland, for example. You have a referendum for issue A, and issue B, and issue C. In our case, we just have to just listen to what the parties are arguing, and then try to
one or the other.
One or the other, right?
So your choice, it don't matter. You might, the fundamental errors you might find is whatever, both sides.
That's correct.
And fundamentally good thing.
That's correct.
But whatever you're voting, and and whoever you vote to is going to label you.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and it's an interesting thing, because when we think about it at this point, with so much technology that is available, right, around the world right now, it is not unfathomable that you can, in fact, ask each and every individual what is their position on whatever issue you choose, right? You could poll people on a regular basis to find out where they stand. But the reality is, when it comes to decision making, we still have very old systems of governance that came out of the 18th and 19th century, and that's what we're still using to today, to make determinations on things that we have right now. So really, I think part of the challenge is that our system of governance has not kept up with the world and the way that the world is right now.
That's what you see there, exactly what we have for centuries. We have brought the world to a stage where we had League of Nations that evolved to United Nations, and for that very thing to exercise the whole idea, the whole idea of tolerance, goodwill, and understanding,
right,
among people, among nations, among regions. Tolerance, goodwill, and understanding. So when that is gone out of the window, that means, when there's zero tolerance to what I like to say, the other man believes, his systems of belief, and you say, well, now, you're not a Christian, no room for you in the house of God. You're not, you're a Christian. Okay, let me see. But still, wait by the gate. What kind of Christian are you? You're not a Christian as the way I prescribe it, the way I see it. You still no room for you to pass through heaven's gate. You know that kind of way? So, and then that's how it's going. That's how it's going. You realize, well, boy, everything is there. Heaven's gate it will only open for people like Elon Musk and them. Because he could physically go up there when he wants.
Yeah. In fact, from what I'm reading, he's supposed to be getting an office right next to the White House.
It's all interesting, but good to hear from you. And
definitely.
Let me go. Let me see.
Okay, all the best then, caller.
You have a young lady there to raise. The challenge is on, my brother.
Yes, indeed. All right, then, caller. Thank you. Take care. Have a good one.
Okay, right.
And of course, in the case of Elon Musk, a very interesting thing. Apparently he's going to be getting an office next to the White House, in the East Executive Building. But anyways, we got another call coming in. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Lunchroom. What's on your plate?
Mr. George.
How are you doing, sir?
Not too bad.
And happy New Year to you.
A very happy New Year.
Many happy returns.
And prosperity.
Thank you very much.
Your way.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. I have to make it short. I heard the Prime Minister talk about last year was the year of infrastructure, And this year, we're doing the same. The year of instruction. But what I cannot understand is we have a gold pot holding coming to develop. You there with me?
Oh, Global Port Holdings, yes.
Yeah.
GPH.
They will develop Latok area. And if they develop in Latok area, a few steps away is Fulasho.
Mm-hmm.
So what they're going to do with Fulasho, because if it's UWP, we have the afraid to lose the vote, and we have Labour, the afraid to lose the vote, so they don't want to touch those people. But when you're doing such a massive development coming your way, and to have Fulasho, they don't have running toilet. They use the guttering sometime when the rain fall, they just empty the bucket. What kind of thing is that? I want that to go to the Prime Minister and for them to do something about Fulasho, because that is first impression and last impression. Are you there with me?
I'm with you. I'm with you, caller. Yeah. And I agree with you that we have some areas around Castries where the housing is not standard. It's subpar, right? And I think we have a serious crisis when it comes to housing. People make do, but really and truly, sometimes the conditions are not very good at all, and that definitely needs to be tackled. Now, the reality is, it will require government to look at social housing, right? Because invariably, individuals will never be able to afford on their own some of these what is a reasonable
I quite agree with you.
Right?
A lot of people will not be able to afford their own houses. But you have to do something.
So you've got to step in. You have to step in and plan it out in such a way that you are creating affordable housing and affordable housing solutions. I also want to say cannot simply be taking people from where their livelihoods are tied to and sending them far out into the countryside. Right? We've tried that in the past, and we've seen the kind of results that have come
your
with that.
program, I tell them exactly. Fulasho people can just go down the valley, get a place down the valley, put them, develop Fulasho, and those who want to come back might come back. But you give Fulasho a kind of Mediterranean look.
Well, okay, fine, but I'm saying that that's good. But then somewhere within the Castries area, though, you do need to ensure that you have housing, right?
Yeah.
It is, and that will require breaking some eggs to make the omelette. That will require some phased redevelopment of some areas. That's the reality of it. Where you can actually have, and let's face it, again, changing habits. A lot of people are, before, maybe in the past, everybody wanted to have a single family, a house with 10,000 square feet around them. It's not so much so with young people today. They're looking more for accessibility. They're looking for more amenities. So we have to be able to begin making that shift towards providing, whether you want to call it apartment style homes, things that are attractive, but yet still also affordable, right? The price of property is going up, of land is going up, and so we've got to make better use of it.
They look quite attractable.
Sorry?
They look quite nice. And we can put a lot of that down the valley to put the people of Fulasho. And I have to hold that point that they have to develop Fulasho. They have to do it. Because that is first impression, last impression. You have all gold pot holding and that and all this wharf they develop all banana. develop, and then you have Fulasho. They still using bucket.
Well,
I want St. Lucia to hear that.
Okay,
All
caller.
St. Lucia listening to hear it. They have to do something about it.
Yeah,
Hello?
well, I'm sure people are listening. So thanks for that.
I hope the Prime Minister is listening as well.
Yeah, but I think the point is that you've got to do it in such a way that you're giving people options. You have to be able to, any redevelopment that we're doing, it really should be mixed use, right? Let's not think that you're not going to have any residential components of it, or it's only going to be purely commercial. There has to be housing. Housing has to be part of the mix.
Everybody afraid to lose their voters. And I know this government we have in power will stay there for decades. Yeah, but attack it. Don't afraid to lose a few voters. Develop the damn place. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks very much, caller.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there are. Thank you. Take care. There are many of these instances where yes, you've got to tackle the housing as it is. Okay, thanks. So make sure that it is part of the mix. And urban redevelopment is not only about the commercial, it certainly does have to be about ensuring that people have places to live that are affordable, that are attractive within that entire mix. And it can be done in a very tasteful way. And sometimes it doesn't take much to be able to improve the look and feel of some of these developments. I mean, we can look at, let's say, the Darling Road apartments, for example. They've gotten a bit of a facelift over the years from both administrations. Some improvements in terms of public art and what have you. And so we definitely do need to consider that there's a need for affordable housing, and it will require more than likely that you're going to have to go up. Whether it's with 3-level, 4-level, 6-level structures, it's an inevitability that those things are going to be required in and around the city of Castries. We'll have to continue that conversation, no doubt, tomorrow on our program, because we're already out of time here today. Of course, we thank all those who called in and made very, very useful interventions. And for those who are following on our Facebook Live as well, thanks for your participation. All the best and take care. I'm your host, Alex George Jr., saying goodbye.